Hi, this is Sajjad, welcoming you to this video of Nuke Learning. One of the main important topics in compositing is camera projection. At first, is a bit confusing, but if you get the concept, can help you have insane amount of productivity. So as the name implies, we should work with camera. In addition to viewing and rendering a 3D scene, cameras can also project a 2D still image or image sequence onto geometry in the scene. This is similar to the front projection systems used in practical photography, where a background image or other element is projected onto the stage and photographed with other elements. In Nuke, a projection camera can receive camera data tracked from the original shot or another shot to set up a projection, that is, match moved to another source. This setup requires these nodes: a projection camera, a scene node, a Project 3D node, a geometry object node that you'll be projecting onto, like card, and a 2D node with the image that you want to project, like color wheel node, and finally scanline render to convert 3D to 2D. So think of a movie projector in cinema. We are going to take the freeze camera at one point in time, which can be a frame hold of animated camera, then shoot or project 2D image through this still camera onto geometry. Then, if we look through the scene's main camera, it will see the projected camera's content. So using this technique, you can remove or add things to your geometry and shot. To help you understand the structure, first let me show you the usual 3D structure. Put the scene node in the middle, connect the camera to it, connect the card geometry, and connect the scanline render. Then connect the camera to the scanline render. Connect the color wheel to the card and switch to 3D in the viewer. By default, Nuke is showing Hydra Storm Renderer, so the result of color wheel is not what we are expecting. So in the viewer, hit S to open the viewer settings, and from 3D menu, change the renderer to Nuke. Now this is what we want. The card should be at the origin of the scene, so select it and move it back to have distance from the camera. If I scale the card, you can see the color wheel is scaling too. So the color wheel is attached to the card and moves with it. However, if put the Project 3D node before this card and connect this cam input to the camera, we change the structure. Now our camera is projecting this color wheel. If I move the camera, you can see the color wheel is moving too, just like a movie projector. Even if I move the camera closer to the card, the texture is going to be smaller and vice versa. So now if I animate the camera, at first frame, right-click on, translate, and set key, go to frame 20, and move the camera toward the card, and move it down a bit. If I play, you can see the texture of the color wheel is moving with the camera. We don't want this. What we want to do is when the camera is, for example, at frame 20, we say, okay, this is the correct angle to project from. So we need to have this frame freezed. We use frame hold. Remember, frame hold is one of the nodes that can be used directly in both 2D and 3D world. So insert it here between the camera and project 3D node. Make sure the frame number is 20. Now what it is doing is it freezes the camera at this frame. But we still have the normal moving camera plugged into the scene and scanline render nodes. So now we need to duplicate the camera and preserve the connection to the scene and scanline renderer nodes. If I look through the scanline render in 3D Viewer, you can see my second camera and my projection camera. Now you can see our image is static in its place, and our main camera makes its move, and if I decide to make any change to the texture, which is color wheel, it will be projected and will be seen in the final. If I make a roto on this color wheel at frame 20 and merge it with the operations set to mask, in 2D, let me draw a very clear shape. You can see it is sticking to the color wheel correctly. Even if I update the animation on the shot cam, which is this one, there wouldn't be any problem. I can rename these cameras to shot cam and proj cam. I have camera nodes with same names, so it is giving me error. Main shot cam and main projection cam. Even I can give a custom color to projection cam so that visually I can find them in my script if the script grows bigger. So this is the whole idea of camera projecting. This technique is the one you should use, for example, to implement digital matte painting or DMP into your comp. In major VFX companies, it is expected to treat the DMP with projection. Also, one of the things you might get confused about is if you are in a situation where you might receive another artist's script to work. For example, in some setups, you can see that there is projection node in the comp, but you don't see the frame hold node. Some artists prefer working like this. I will show you the equivalent of not having the frame hold node. As you remember, these two cameras are exactly having the same animation. So some artists, instead of having the camera animation freezed on specific frame, remove the animation of projection camera on that frame. Let me open the properties of projection cam, and we use the frame hold at frame 20. So to have the animation hold on frame 20, directly from the camera setting, first go to frame 20, right-click on this translate menu, and choose No Animation. By choosing this option, you will remove the dancing number from the camera translate, but you keep these numbers locked and freezed during the whole shot, which is exactly as putting the frame hold there. So if you get a script without having frame hold here, don't panic. The projection camera has been freezed on that specific frame. Remember, always denoise your footage before doing the projection. Also, remove the lens distortion of the shot, and then apply lens distortion and grain after finishing the projection. I have explained lens distortion and removing grain in other videos.